Osiris, the powerful. Today we will meet a god who ruled in heaven and hell, in life and death, among men and humans, passing from king of the universe to lord of the underworld. God, whose name gives us an idea of his importance since it means the powerful. We are talking about the god Osiris.
The truth is that I was a god, loved by my people, and worshipped as a pharaoh, always attentive to my people both in life and in death.
Story begins with the mythical establishment of the 365-day solar calendar, if the Egyptians did it, and Cleopatra gave it to Julius Caesar during his stay in Rome with his son Caesarion.
Calendar was always superior to the Roman one. If it had not been for me, the time in the West would not have been counted in the same way. I could be considered the queen of the seasons.
The Romans always take what we need from the territories we govern. If Cleopatra had not brought it, believe me that we would have achieved it the same. The merit is in understanding that their calendar was better than ours, and that merit is mine.
Nut, the goddess of the sky, had a secret love affair with Jeb, her brother, the god of the earth.
In my defense, I will say that my marriage was dead. Ra was all day meeting with the gods did not look at me. And Geb always had a detail call me go, like not falling in love with a man like that.
Ra, the sun god and the creator god, upon learning of his actions, became angry and forbade not to give birth during the 360 days of the year, which were all the days of the year until that moment.
What could I do? A godlike world could not consent to have bastard children. I came up with this way to prevent me from having children with other men.
Tot, the other brother of Nut, then decides to play dice with the moon to get some of its 72 days of light. She had and did not know what to do with them, because why do you want days of light on the moon? After winning an additional 5 days, he adds them to the 360 days created by Ra, and we already have 365 days.
It is clear that I'm the great forgotten of history. Without me, the rest of the gods would not exist. But as I do not kill anyone and only deceive the moon, then it is forgotten for history.
Cyrus was born on the first day. It would be Sunday, the day of the sun, the day of creation, and all those things.
From my birth, my destiny was already seen. It is clear that I was born to rule over men and over the gods.
Horse Su the second, Seth the third, tearing the mother's womb. If he was a beast from birth, then we'll talk about him.
I know it's a bit of a beastly way to be born, but rage always accompanied me from birth to death.
Isis on the fourth in the swamps of the Nile Delta. She will later marry Osiris and Nephthys on the fifth and last day. Fortunately, we then added 2 more days, and finally, we had weekends.
My birth was already special. To be born in the Nile Delta is not to be born anywhere. From the first momento it was noticed that I was the protagonist of this story.
As Osiris was the elder brother, he had to rule among the gods. Osiris is a beneficial and civilizing god. He assumed his destiny to rule the world after overthrowing Ra, who curiously was his father, passing the crown from father to son.
It was the tradition I had to rule, but unlike now that you rule when your father dies, in ancient times, death was favored by the successor that avoided having elderly kings who could not rule.
A father always wants a son to succeed, but he would prefer that he had not killed me to achieve his goal. I know it is a family tradition, but there are traditions that do not have to be followed.
He brought peace and prosperity to human beings. teaching them agriculture, weaving, how to make bread and culture and religion. He is the God who created the laws that governed men.
The truth is that it was the best part of my reign over the living. In it, I got civilization to advance in knowledge and order. Law and culture is the stone of any civilization.
He married his sister Isis, and his archenemy was the god Seth, his younger brother, much before Cain and Abel. The struggle between brothers does not only occur today. Osiris, by mistake that is how they called him then, was unfaithful to Isis with his twin sister Nephthys, Seth's wife. From this adulterous relationship, Anubis, the dog-headed god, was born.
Since I'm not going to get, my older brother has a slip with my wife, and now I have a bastard dog with a dog face. You wouldn't be by this.
For some reason, Seth did not like this very well, and as it seems, he got angry with Osiris, and the war between brothers began.
The truth is that this infidelity was not good. It was the biggest mistake of my life, although Anubis was one of my favorite children.
This fight between the two superheroes of good, and you have two parts, like action movies. The first, Seth murders Osiris with blows with a sheep in the Nile, poor sheep that was grazing by the Nile, and they put it in this mess and cut it into pieces.
Killing me well because we already knew that Seth was quite violent, but to tear me pieces that was a bit excessive. It was not necessary.
If I recognized it happened to me, you know, the anger and all that, I had to release all that anger that ate me inside, although chopping it was a bit excessive.
But in the second, like a good Marvel series, his body was rebuilt and resurrected with the help of his sister Nephthys and his wife Isis. No, it was not on the third day. Nephthys and Isis find the corpse and perfume it. Then they sew it up in the Frankenstein style. As for some reason, they did not find the eyes, they put two boats, one of the day, the sun, and one of the night, the moon. Then they perform a ritual, and he is brought back to life by Shu and Tefnut, and he ascends to the paradisiacal fields.
My sister and I did what we could. As we did not find all the pieces, we were imaginative. The main thing is that in the end he resurrected and returned to us.
Since he had died, he could no longer rule the world, and therefore they sent him to the underworld, as when a politician retires, and you have to find a destination for him. Losing his throne in heaven and becoming the king of the dead. Fallen god to hell, but he was not a demon. He was something else, the judge and supreme sovereign of the laws of Mot.
It was a very honorable destiny, and I performed my work in the underworld with skill and skill. I was as dear as god of men and as god of the dead.
Mot was like the doctrinal body of the laws of our time, with a touch of the 10 Commandments that here, for some reason, were 42. I guess then in the update, they reduced the space needed to run the program. As king of the underworld, he is called Juat by the ancient Egyptians, and he presided over the trial that, with other 42 judges, was held for the souls of the newcomers to allow them or deny them entry to paradise. In the underworld, Osiris meets each night with the boat of Ra on his journey through the world of the dead.
I hope you liked my story. There are not many gods who ruled over the living and the dead and who were loved in both worlds. Take care of you and see you in the underworld. Wait for me that although late, I always appear with my boat.